Hello, Internet, and welcome to Wednesday's serial for March 17th's Weeks of Comics, and I think I'll just start out with something a little different. First up is Irredeemable 12, and I thought this series was supposed to end at this comic, but apparently not. They're dragging out this miniseries probably because it's been selling really well, especially for an indie label. And I gotta say, at this point, it feels like it's getting dragged out, and I'm probably gonna drop it here. I mean, initially it's fast paced and moving, and now it feels like every idea is just getting beaten to death. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's still some fans of this comic, but I really feel it's lost steam. Joe the Barbarian 3 came out this week, and I gotta say, this issue is just so much better than the last two. The way Morrison's playing with this idea of normalcy, I really appreciate. I mean, by the end of it, I honestly felt the giant anthropomorphic rat was the most normal character between the three main ones in this comic. And there's another few great twists and turns, and I like how this idea of prophecy is finally being played in, as I knew it would because he's following a definitive archetype, but knowing that and seeing how he's playing with it just makes this comic all the stronger. I mean, maybe it's kind of my English major side coming out, but it's definitely something that if you can read between some of the lines, it's a very deep comic that's easy to appreciate. Choker 2 came out, and I gotta say, this thing's picking up. It has lots of little sick twists, turns. It's much like the first one. This one had a moment where there were testicles used as rearview mirror ornaments. It was kitschy. But on the other note, my letter was the first one printed for this comic, so yeah, first! Take that, print media. I don't know. I thought it was cool, but then again, I'm probably the only one. And I didn't want to start off with it this week because Amazing Spider-Man 625 came out, and this is part of the gauntlet going on, whatever. That's what they're calling, I guess, what you'd equivalent to a season in TV now. But this issue really stood out to me. The art was better than a lot of it has been lately, but still not great. But the writing, Joe Kelly here, just one of the most tightly written issues I've read in so long. It's an interesting idea, playing with this whole idea of a legacy character, which is great when you see all these mythos built around it, and the character like the Rhino, which has kind of been written off as a goof, to kind of see this old man reclaim a mantle that he didn't want to go down and fulfill this animalistic nature that is kind of an ever-running theme through the comic. It was just really powerfully written, and it's the sort of thing that makes you come back week after week, even when some of the other things don't quite hold that punch. Do More 2 is out, and it's really interesting to kind of see this X-Men Black Panther crossover, mainly because it's so much about the Black Panther, and to see this level of political thriller mixed in with action is something really reminiscent of me of Priest Run from back in the 90s, when I personally feel the Black Panther was written the strongest, where it doesn't have all the elements and layers that Priest ever put in. This is really only 2 issues into a whole new idea and delivered in a completely different way, but it definitely brings back what I actually like about the character, for a character that frankly is commonly written as incredibly dull. So if you're kind of iffy on this book, I'd definitely say it's worth checking out. Green Lantern Corps 46 is out, and Skittles Vomit the War continues. Actually, this was a really, really interesting issue, and it's hard to really dive into what was so interesting because it was so dark and so crucial and near the end of the comic that I wouldn't want to ruin it. But what I will say as more of a negative point against this is the comic felt like it was kind of skipping around. I never really got a sense of setting, which is odd for a Green Lantern comic because they kind of have an easy out with always being in space. And it just seemed that it was kind of rushing to try to get to an end point. Maybe it would have benefited from spacing out with another issue, or I'm not sure, but it was really clear to me that the pacing is not what it could have been. Echo 20 is out, and if you couldn't tell from my past reviews, I mean, I love this book, and I love pretty much anything that Terry Moore seems to put out, and this issue just seemed like a great example of why. Every page I turned, every frame, I could just see more character put into every little expression, every little bit of how wording's used, everything about it. And just for that, I mean, even though seemingly not too much happened until the second half of this book, it felt like so much more was happening with every little bit, because whereas plot's developing, you just get so much more to the characters too. I don't know, I just feel that that's what makes a great comic. I mean, the plots can be derivative or predictable or whatnot, but if you have these great character moments along the way, that's what really makes it great fiction. That's what keeps you coming back. It won't be the stupid situations, it's the characters that you get invested in. And that's why, I don't know, it just was a point, kind of a reaffirmation of why I love the comics that I do and why I hate the comics that I currently hate right now. So that's it for Wednesday's serial this week, but I thought I'd leave you guys with a question. I want to know, I mean, we all have our favorite characters, but what is it about your favorite characters that you identify with, or what makes you like them, what makes them stand out to you? And I mean, maybe it was only under a certain person that part was really emphasized, or maybe it was something else about the character. Maybe it's just the design. I don't know. Just let me know, and yeah, I'll see you next week.